So here's your brain on a book, and here's your brain on Google. Quite a different brain.
Dr. Gary Small is a neuroscientist at the University of California, Los Angeles. He says surfing the internet can actually be good for the brain.
It looks like searching online is something that really triggers neural circuits, really activates the brain. It may even be a form of brain exercise. Technology is not necessarily bad for the brain. In fact, many studies have found that surgeons who play video games make fewer errors in the operating room. So what's that telling us? It's telling us that it's improving peripheral vision, improving reaction time, so we can very much train our brains using different types of technology.
We can deal with that later.
But multitasking is a different story.
The studies have found that a middle-aged person who multitasks makes more errors.
Who told you that?
That's indisputable. Even in young people, with all the multitasking, there's a tendency to do things faster. There's a perception that we're getting more done, but we're actually sloppier.
The scientists say when we're doing this, we're paying partial continuous attention to many tasks. It's stressful, and stress can actually shrink the brain and contribute to memory loss.
The amount of time it takes the brain to switch from task to task will vary. It can just be microseconds, but that adds up. And part of the problem is reorienting ourselves to the task. Also, learning skills. When we stop one task, how can we bookmark it so it's easier to get back to it? A lot of work time is lost because we have to shift tasks. And I think it's important for people to be aware of their multitasking, try to limit it so they'll be more efficient, truly more efficient, not just perceiving that they're more efficient. They're spending hours and hours using the technology. When they're not using the technology, they crave it. It's interfering with their everyday lives. They're secretive about it. It really fits in with that addictive behavior pattern. A lot of the professors are having trouble getting the students to stop texting during class. One professor told me that she gives the kids a 5-minute texting break halfway through the class. So something's going on that they can't be without it for even an hour at a time. It's complicated. I mean, I've actually heard myself shouting to my son saying, "Harry, get off that computer game and come downstairs and watch television with me." And then I thought, well, what am I saying? Well, I was concerned that he's playing the game and it's a repeated task and maybe that's not good for his brain. And perhaps if he watched this show with me, we'd have a conversation and it was public television. It was probably good for him. But I didn't realize that his computer game was a virtual game and he was talking with friends as part of the game. So it was kind of a social experience for him. So it's not simple.
So how much screen time is too much for kids? Pediatricians recommend that children under the age of 2 be kept away from the television, the computer, and video games. Children older than 2? Kids, you're not going to like this. No more than 2 hours a day, and no longer than 20 minutes at a time.
Once they go over that 20 minutes, what you'll find is an energy that's way out of whack. So the child's either going to be really hyper and charged or they're going to be sleepy and zoned out.
Young people today are spending a tremendous amount of time with their technology. Now, what's going to happen to that young developing brain? It's going to be very strong with the technology skills. But what about the human contact skills? Looking at someone in the eye when you have a conversation or noticing nonverbal cues during that conversation.
All that technology use may even be rewiring our brains.
We know that if the brain spends a lot of time in a particular mental task over and over again, it will be strengthened. The neural circuits controlling that task will be very strong. On the other hand, if we avoid certain tasks, the neural circuits controlling those tasks will be very weak. And that basic principle is a concern.